guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. With the first week of NBA in the books, our Run Pure Sports hot streak continues. Big T hit 58,000 across both sites on opening night. New member Jeff Nugent hit for 10K. Shawnee hit for 22K. And on night 2, Eden Cohen shipped for a monster $250,000. On Wednesday, Locks hit for $72,000 on DraftKings. And on that same night, I hit my biggest NBA win yet, shipping for over $100,000 on FanDuel. Glock's heat map provided me with the info I needed to build my lineup and help me ship. And it wasn't just NBA producing big winners. Big T pushed Guz the Bus Edwards hard on the Sunday Morning Wood Show.
I know we're saving money at running back this week, but are you spinning up for Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, I can't play Derrick Henry when I'm playing Gus the Bus.
Gus went off, scoring 2 touchdowns at only 2% ownership. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel to get great calls like this for free on a daily basis. Guz was also featured in Big T's player pool, along with Bengal stacks. Congrats to P451017 for riding that stack to $15,000. And shout out to DK for 5 for staking Corey Pooler, who hit for $1,500. DK for himself hit for $4K on the afternoon slate. To top off the week, our members ran pure in some showdown contests too. Last Thursday, I shipped another King of the Beach seat with plays I highlighted in my attack plan, available to premium members, featuring Jawan Johnson in the captain slot. And the winning continued on Sunday's showdown slate with a slew of RPS logos sharing in a first place finish. Congrats to Bring the Noise, who entered 2 different lineups, which actually both tied for first. Shout out as well to member Alec for turning $20 into $10K in MLB. Congrats again to all our members. You want to be featured in the core report? Drop your winning lineup in our Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value with all sports included for one low price. Remember, if you're not winning with us, you're watching us win. Until next time, let's keep running pure.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
What is up, jabronis? JJ back here with the crew, talking a little CFB. Got our friend Trav. First of all, Travis, what a look. What a look. You get a bunch of tattoos overnight or something?
Yeah. I just decided to go to the tat shop and load up. But no, I did a Halloween costume. There's more to it, but yeah, I figured why not? Let's just, it was out late last night. I wasn't waking up to wash this crap off. So here we are. I'm all tatted up on the show. And you guys said I gotta show more so you guys can see it all. So yeah, it was a fun time.
The chain too, and the voice is raspy. You know, you had a night.
Yeah, it was definitely a long night. The chain is great too. I wanted to channel my inner Dunkel as well. You know, I always see him wearing 2 chains, so I'm just trying to get the college mojo and feel like Uncle Dunkel and ship everything today because that's all he does, Tony. All he does is ship.
You know what's funny? I haven't shipped in 4 weeks, and since then, Tony's shipped every week.
Not true.
So speaking of individuals who get a good full night's sleep and rest, relaxation as they prepare for Saturday.
Nothing that's coming out of your mouth is true.
As they rest for
all lies.
A big Saturday slate. Tony, another big week for you last week. You're looking for, well, actually, what have your thoughts? Because you've been really crushing. I mean, I know we're semi-joking, semi-not, but you've been kind of crushing the last few weeks.
I just love college. Like college, I've said it for the entire time. Really, I guess the last 4 or 5 years. Because before that, it was all Uncle Dunkel owned, and I wasn't too far into the college streets until probably 4 or 5 years ago. But I think it's the best sport. I do. I think the edge is big, and it's just the funnest to watch because tons and tons of scoring. You're never dead. Game stacks are alive. I just love how it's so much better than the NFL product right now as far as just pure viewing. Like NFL, some of these games are absolutely miserable. College, yeah, you get those too, but you also get the 58, 48 games where you just keep getting touchdowns. and it's fun, and the edge is just enormous. It always has been, always will be. People just don't know how to play college football.
Yeah, that's why you're the best, Anthony. That's
No.
why. That's why.
Let me pull up these rankings I seen. Old Uncle Dunkle just way up the charts in college football, showing off all his winnings. Hold on, let me look. Yep, Dunkle's still ahead of me. I thought he was. Yep, he sure is.
I'd have to fact check that. I don't know if that's possible.
Bruce,
Bruce,
when you ship every week, hell yeah, it's possible.
Bruce, the silent
That's
assassin.
not even 150 in. You're ahead of me without even 150 in.
We've moved on to the next topic, Anthony. Thank you.
Oh.
Bruce, the silent assassin, content guru in the space. What were some of your thoughts on last week? And even, I guess you can briefly touch on before we go into the slate for this week. Because we have talked how we felt like pricing's gotten better and better and better. This week definitely took a backseat at quarterback. But what were your thoughts about last week? And then obviously looking onward to this week.
Yeah, last week was solid. I think we hit some. I think we had a takedown in the main slate, so that was good to see. Big T had a big week as well. So that's what I always try to achieve is our subscribers and our talent here get takedowns. That's a good week for me. Last night was good. We had a good slate, so good start to the week, and hit a nice parlay as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, nice little double banger there. Was 1.5 to 1 for a two-teamer. Love it.
Feels good. And this week, like you said, the quarterback pricing is pretty atrocious, but there are 4 of them that you can play. So it's not horrible. If there was only 2 of those guys and you had to lock them in and move on, it would be pretty bad. But there's some good plays, I think, especially, you can get a little bit different too by spending up at that spot. There's some value at other spots as well. So it's a good solid slate, I think.
Cool. Yeah, without further ado, let's begin diving right in. So was this a 13 gamer, right? I think, 13 game slate. So, and we have a little more, finally, for the first time, I think in a month, at least it feels like, we finally have about 5 or 6 12 o'clock games where you will feel confident playing some players. It felt like for the last month, you could just skip the 12 o'clocks and just wait to edit. Now, there is some news for some of the later games with injuries. So obviously you can't really go all in on the 12 o'clocks, but there are some juicy matchups. So we'll start with one of them, Auburn, Arkansas. Auburn projected here about 28.5 points, Arkansas 32. The stone chalk of the slate, assumed anyway. Bruce, I'll let you tell me projections. Jefferson at 6.3K is the biggest misprice of the slate. I just don't understand why they're getting this guy wrong. They got him wrong 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like, why are they letting that happen again? But anyway, what are you seeing him at for ownership, Bruce?
It should be in the 20s, with there being four cheap quarterbacks, including one in this game in Ashford. He probably should be low 20s, maybe higher, definitely higher in single entries, but GPPs, he's still going to be around those other guys like Ashford.
Before we go into that, are you seeing any of those 4 quarterbacks that really stick out as the highest, or they're all about 20-ish?
Yeah, they should be all in that range. There's a couple of spend ups too, so you could see somebody going high dollar there and then paying down for one of the other quarterbacks too.
We were talking about it before the slate, but this is why there's edge. You guys are acting like there's like 4 guys that I don't even know who you're even talking about. Like I can guess, but they're not going to be as chalky as you guys think. I mean, who? Schrader, Deckers, Jefferson, and who's even the 4th one?
Ashford. Yeah, in this game.
Like Ashford? You guys are worried about friggin' Ashford's horrible.
I mean, I'm not.
He might be horrible, but he's good for
I will
DFS.
have. If his ownership's going to be in the 20s, I won't play him at all because I don't think he has the upside to get there for you. But
I'm not convinced any of these 4 are going to be even in the 20s.
I'd be shocked.
Just jam them because I think that's why there's edge. Like I don't think these guys are near as chalky as you guys think they are.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I don't even look at ownership projections. That's
why you're the best, though. You're saying these 4 guys, and you're like they're not as chalky as you think. Like that could be huge edge if you really like these 4.
Yeah, I think that Jefferson, which is kind of crazy. I would have figured just going into this, I would have figured at this price, Jefferson's going to be 40% owned. The fact that he's not is probably a little crazy. Now, the only hesitation for me is so it's 2 hesitations in relation to this game. I hate playing road quarterbacks in this sport. I mean, obviously we all do it, but I hate doing it. And number two, rushing is a huge upside here for Arkansas. Auburn is brutal against the run in a negative way. And that means a very likely healthy dose of Sanders at running back for this team. And that's the problem, right? Because Jefferson's a goal line thief, which would sting. But I think that between the two of them, yeah, I love Sanders a lot more than Jefferson. But I'll have to protect myself with some Jefferson today because of obviously his ownership projections. Now, Bigsby at 5.4 finally has the game that, you know, you've been hoping he would have. And Arkansas is not very good against the run. But believe it or not, Arkansas is a lot worse against the pass, but Auburn can't. I mean, Auburn's passing game is so blah. I know Ashford's going to see run, but like with Ashford today, you really need him to get rushing touchdowns. Like that's the big difference. Ashford's not going to get you there with his arm. And he doesn't run a whole lot, but if he pilfers 2 rushing touchdowns at his price, that's going to be a problem. But that's what you're really hoping for. Like, whereas Jefferson can get you there with his arm too. And then there's the passing options of both teams. You don't love any receiving options for both teams. Landers, I'd argue, is overpriced. And then on the Auburn side, I guess Shanker maybe at tight end at 3.5. It's hard to love the pass catchers in this game. So you could even, I mean, Tony, I know you talk about, where you find your spots. You can play the running backs in this game. Like I said, I think Sanders is going to be high owned. To me, it doesn't matter. The matchup's fantastic. So, I'll start with you, Bruce. How are you approaching this game? Because there's a lot to kind of unfold here.
Yeah, at first look, I definitely like Ashford's price, 5,200. He's just going to run the football a ton. If you watch the Arkansas BYU game, as a lot of us played Jefferson and Sanders in that one, they had really a ton of trouble stopping BYU on defense. So they are getting some guys back on defense in that secondary, but it's still really bad. And they are at home. I do think Ashford and Bigsby have big games in this one. It's probably one of my favorite games of the day, but like you said, what wide receivers are you going to play? It's rough. I do like Javarius Johnson for Auburn. He is a little pricey though, 4,800. It's kind of a good player for them. But yeah, other than that, Landers, I guess you could play 21% target share. But the running backs, I think, are going to be the under-owned piece of this game. With most going to the quarterbacks, and most people don't like playing their quarterbacks with the running backs. So I see Sanders under 20%, Bigsby under 10%. So if you want to get different in GPPs, I think that's the play.
And to me, it makes a lot of sense because, like I said, I mean, when you talk where the biggest advantages are in this game, it's definitely on the ground for both teams. Sanders is just in such a smash spot. Tony, game like this, obviously a game that figures to be popular in its own way. Anything you like loving it?
I mean, I like that people are going to play Ashford because I think he's an absolutely horrendous play. Like, he hasn't cracked 20, but once all season. At some point, it doesn't matter price in college. There's so much upside in positions. I mean, you got quarterbacks going to get 40, 50 points. Ashford's going to get 18. Like, I don't care his price. Like, you got to have upside at some point. I think he's just terrible. If you want to play him, you're going to lose today. The running backs, though,
coming out with the heat.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just egregiously bad. But the receivers are bad. But you guys are right. I mean, running backs, you can get some leverage. I always like Rocket Sanders. Running backs loaded today as we go through. That's the position that I think is tough. There's just some really, really, really good running back plays. I usually go 4 receivers in my tournament builds, but I might go 3 running backs today just because of how good running back is. I don't know. I mean, KJ Jefferson's fine. I don't think he's a lock. I like him better than Ashford, but again, I mean, Dunkel brings up a good point. I don't like the road quarterbacks as much in college either, especially if I'm not game stacking. There's a ton of quarterbacks today I like, which isn't really those 4 that you guys like. So if you guys like them, I think that you're going to have good edge because I just don't see it in that range. For me though, I don't know. It's kind of just Rocket Sanders in this game. I doubt I play Tank just because running back's too good to play a guy like Tank. Yeah, he had one good game. That's fine. I don't see it happening again. So I guess I'm way lower on this game than you guys are.
Yeah, I think the game's overall going to see ownership, Tony. But I think to your point, yeah, pick your spots, get away from them, play your 1 or 2 guys from a game, and that's it. Move on. Mangone, how you
I
looking?
think the only guy that's going to be over 20% is KJ Jefferson. So if you guys are on it, I think it's going to be lower owned than you think.
Yeah, I like KJ. KJ is definitely a good play. Ashford's like the one where I do agree with what Tony's saying. Like, I like Ashford, but I like, obviously you can just, if you put Ashford and Jefferson in your lineup, you can literally jam all the good plays, right? You can just get like all these good options. That's one reason why I think some people are considering like using quarterback as a spend down spot, because look how good the running backs are today, right? Like we talked to, like Tony just mentioned it. There's a lot of really, really good running backs, and just you want to kind of load the boat on them, it feels like. So Ashford in play at 5.2, but not like one of the best ones. The best one is KJ Jefferson in this range. I think KJ Jefferson is someone that I'm looking to get to into my lineup. So one thing that's nice is if you roster, you don't have to do the run back with Landers. I mean, I like Landers, but you don't need to. And I agree with what Tony says. Like Tank Bigsby, I don't need in my lineups. Like I understand why people might want to play him, but I just think there's so many better running backs. And then when you talk about Rocket Sanders, he's one of these guys in this range that's really interesting at 6.9K. Just the question is, if a lot of people do end up playing KJ Jefferson, they're probably not going to play KJ and Raheem Sanders. So I do think you are going to see like ownership gap between like Sanders and Vaughn, like Ibrahim, Chase Brown. Like I think those three between Vaughn, Ibrahim, and Brown, they're in their own like ownership and like tier. And then Rocket Sanders is not that much worse, but his ownership probably is going to be a little bit lower than those guys. So I think that's like kind of like tier 1 versus tier 2 when it comes to kind of ownership here on this slate. So like this game, I think it's in play, but I do agree with one thing that Tony said. Like you can't really do like your quarterback stacking them there, right? Like, and there are some good ones that we'll get to throughout the game. There's like 2 that I really like, and then there's like a third that I'm kind of more interested in now because of some news. So we'll talk about it as we kind of keep moving.
Just massive upside too in other like pairings. So I like
there's opportunity cost, Tony. That's like the exact word to talk about. There's just because you get 20 there, when Max Duggan goes out there and drops a 50 piece or
like, even if you told me he gets 20 for sure, I don't think you could play him. Like that's how crazy it is.
Yeah, like especially in that big like $20 GPP, right? Like it's
definitely like this is more of a cash for sure. Like you could do it in cash, like for sure. But to like win any tournament, not just the big field one, you're still gonna need upside. Even in like the Dunkel's one, he always ships whatever it is today, the 333 or whatever. You're still gonna need upside.
Yeah, I can't argue that at all. Because I think that's the only problem with what's his name, the $5,200 quarterback for Auburn. All right, let's move on. Another popular game, or at least a popular side. Anyway, Iowa State, Oklahoma. Tony, I think this is going to be a spot you like because Oklahoma's, to me, is likely going to go unowned in this spot, and they will score points in this game. Everybody's going to be on the other side. Now, Deckers for Iowa State, likely to be, I figured it was going to be Jefferson, but I guess at the price, it could be Deckers, the highest owned quarterback on the entire slate. Not that matters because, again, you need the highest score regardless. Deckers at 5,300 with rushing upside. This again doesn't even make sense. And out of all the quarterbacks today that we'll talk about that are quote unquote chalky, he's the easiest to slot in because you can easily play him with a receiver. Whether it's Noel or obviously the best receiver on the slate, Hutchinson. He's easy to slot in, so he's probably going to be very high owned. The good news with playing him or not playing him is that you can just turn around and play Brock at running back if you really want to grab your nuts. I mean, this dude was their full-fledged starter throughout the year. He's been a little banged up. He had some tougher matchups. But as I look here, projections, so Iowa State 27.5, Oklahoma 29. It looks like Iowa State's best recipe for success will be on the ground. The problem is Iowa State is just a terrible rushing team. They're actually one of the worst teams in D1 rushing the football. So, take that as you will, but their biggest edge will be against Oklahoma's rush defense. So yeah, Brock is in play. He's probably not going to see much ownership at all. I don't know how much people trust the fact of his snap count or workload. But yeah, like I said, you compare the receivers on the Iowa State side. On Oklahoma side, look, Marvin Mims is still priced like a player that's not producing. But I'll tell you this, he's getting targets like a player that should be producing at this price. I think he gets, Bruce, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's getting like a 35% target share. Is that correct? Something like that? Anyone? Bueller?
Yeah, 27. So pretty close. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, he's still getting thrown the ball his way more than 1 out of every 4 passes. So just to keep that in mind, you might look at his price and look at his game logs and be like, oh, this dude's not worth the price, but the volume's there. He could explode in any given week. Willis or Braden Willis is likely to see ownership. This dude usually has a floor of like 15, but he's found the end zone quite a bit in his biggest games. So if you play him, just do realize you need him to score to get you there. The sheer volume is likely not going to be enough. Anyway, this game on the Iowa State side is going to be popular. Tony, how are you going to approach this game?
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma is one of those teams that's just tough because they've been so bad at times. And really the only 2 guys that are in play for me are Mims and Gabriel. But you're paying so much salary for the 2 that it would be more of just game stacks for me, where you're putting them with the Iowa State guys. Maybe the game just totally nukes. I have a hard time playing them just by themselves just because of price points. And honestly, they just haven't looked that great going on the road. I don't know. Definitely game stack plays, but the Iowa State guys, yeah, Deckers would be the one for me in the cheaper range. I like him way more than like Ashford, and I don't even remember who the other ones you guys were talking about, but I like him way more. Just because, like you said, you can pair him. We talked about Ashford, no pairings. There's not really much you can do that. Yeah, he's rushing too, so you have that. But like here, you got the best receiver in the country, DFS wise, and you even got Noel at 4,600 if you wanted to play another guy with him. It's pretty good savings to have a little stack. Like I said, you can game stack it too with Mims and Gabriel. I think that's always viable in big field tournaments, but yeah, I like the Iowa State side way more at home. Oklahoma's defense, I mean, yeah, they gave it to Kansas, but I'm still not sold even remotely on Oklahoma. So I like this Iowa State side.
Oh, Mangone, game like this, figure you'll be all over a guy like Deckers. If Deckers feels like a Travis guy.
I mean, the one thing that's nice about Deckers is like, he's just playing against Oklahoma, right? I mean, this is like the absolute trash defense. And I like Hutchinson. Hutchinson's someone that's definitely in play. So I like doing this combination and playing them. The one thing you just got to watch sometimes, like the optimizer, though, is like, you don't want all your Deckers with Hutchinson, right? Like that could be one of the worries sometimes. Like you can like run some stuff and like Deckers just popping like you're getting like 40%. Like, why am I? Well, it's like, it's always pairing with Hutchinson. You want to have Hutchinson by himself too, I think. I think that's perfectly fine. We haven't talked about Brock that much yet, but like, I know he was playing well. I mean, this could be the bounce back spot for him. And I don't really like any run backs. I'm just kind of saying, hey, if I do play Decker, then give me Hutchinson basically every single time. Like that's kind of the one rule that I want to set here and I want to be playing. And then, yeah, we just keep this thing moving along because we got a lot of good games to discuss as we keep going.
Yeah, Bruce, last but not least, you want to give some thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I do like Deckers a good amount. Pair him up with Noel, who has a 20% target share over the last 4 weeks. So that's pretty solid for a guy who's 4,600. Dimitri Stanley is also there at 3,200. I think he's near a 15% target share as well. So, not playing Noel, I think he's a good play. Also, you mentioned Braden Willis. I think his target share is up there pretty high. Shouldn't be owned at all today. Actually, I was thinking he would carry some ownership, but he won't. Doesn't look like it in any 4K. So I'm staying away from the Iowa State running backs. They've kind of divided up the snaps the last few weeks. So I'm not gonna touch that. They had Norton come back from injury, and Brock only got like 26% of the snaps last week. So it's a little scary for me. And the run game just hasn't been great. Garrett Gray is a guy you could possibly play in GPPs, but too much 7,100 for him against a good defense. So yeah, it's pretty much where I'm going there.
One last thing I'll add, especially for folks that are doing things with optos, like it's not as common to pair a quarterback with 2 receivers in this sport. You want to make yourself a little different, play them both Play Hutchinson at Noel with
Uncle, it's a great point because I do it more than anyone, I think. And when it hits, it just hits. And no one does it, like you said.
People don't do it in this sport. And I think you can even, because quarterback is so top heavy today with pricing, you could even get real crazy where you could actually play Hutchinson and Noel without Deckers. I know it sounds silly, but it's not crazy at all to think that both those receivers can get there, and there's still 5 or 6 quarterbacks that outscore Deckers today. So you want to be really different. I think you try those two strategies because again, this game's going to see ownership. All right, West Virginia, TCU, another popular game. TCU, are they tied for second highest projection on the slate at 38 points? West Virginia 30.5. So yes, there will be scoring on the West Virginia side. Donaldson at running back will be probably pretty popular. But so this is the interesting thing for me. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but QBs on the road at peak price is not really my speed. However, Duggan in this spot, and this passing offense for TCU is in an absolute nut spot. The West Virginia passing defense is one of the worst in D1. TCU's passing offense has been one of the better passing offenses in D1. You're talking a team in TCU that basically ranks in the top 50 in yards per pass attempt, passing the football, and a team in West Virginia that ranks in the bottom 50 of D1 defending yards per pass attempt. There's just likely going to be a lot of things that can get exploited. Sonny Dykes is a great offensive guy. I'm sure he's going to see these things in film. You would expect a guy like Johnston to get a lot of potential targets today. I'm glad they priced him right. He's still going to see ownership at this number, but the TCU passing game to me is definitely worth targeting. Now, Miller is another guy at running back. They continue to get his price wrong. I wish this guy was in the 7Ks, so I'd play less of him today. Because again, the true edge to beating West Virginia is in the air, or through the air. But with that said, TCU is one of the best rushing teams in the country, and that's helped by Duggan, of course. But West Virginia is actually not bad against the run. Again, they've just been torched all year against the pass. So a lot of different plays in this game. Mangone, I'll start with you for this one. How are you approaching it?
Yeah, I definitely like this game. Obviously, like playing Max Duggan and going Johnston with him. Think that's a really good combination. We should talk a little bit about some of these other receivers. I know Bruce could probably do a better job of breaking it down because there's some options that I know he's going to want to discuss probably. I think that Davis is certainly fine for TCU, Tay Barber, but and it's kind of like the point you said before. What if you played Duggan with Johnston and Davis, or even just played faded Johnston and went Davis and Barber, played both and stacked it up like that? I think you could. My big issue I'm struggling with is who is my run back if I want to do a run back. I think Donaldson is going to have some ownership, but I don't know. One of the common themes it looks like with Donaldson is what happens when they're down? He just doesn't seem like he plays as well and is involved. And I don't know how excited I am to play him because I think TCU is going to be leading most of this game. And then if you look, Ford Wheaton at 6'7", do I want to play him or I want to play all the other receivers that I like better? I mean, you got to eliminate someone from the pool. He's in a price range with a lot of good receivers, and he feels like someone I don't want to roster compared to these other guys. Prather isn't bad, and Sam James, maybe I'll take shots on them at their prices. That's okay. But overall, I just kind of prefer the TCU side, and someone like the West Virginia pieces I was maybe considering. I don't know. It just seems like Donaldson has some ownership, and it's hard to get to Wheaton because of his salary. I just don't know how much West Virginia I'm really going to get into my lineups compared to TCU today. Because I think TCU, this spot's really good for Duggan. I want to play him. I want to play Johnston. And they're really good options. I'm assuming Tony's just going to pair those two up and just kind of move on the slate.
Yeah, I think from receiver on West Virginia, Sam James would be the guy I would play personally. Donaldson, of course, is going to see some ownership, but the matchup again isn't great. But if he's going to see 25 carries, it's going to be tough to not watch him carry the ball that many times without him in your lineups. Tony, how are you approaching this game?
Yeah, interesting game. You got massive upside from this passing game. Duggan and Quentin Johnston, who's started to look good too recently. He was killing us early in the year. I know he was one of the best receivers coming into the season, and he struggled early on, but looks great there. Kendry Miller's looked very good recently, so you got to put him into play. Donaldson is one of the tougher decisions of the week, where I agree with you guys that he might be overowned, and he doesn't play as good from a trailing script. But man, 5,200 when they just don't have any other running backs. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough fade for me, I think. He looks very good with those other guys out, and Bruce can answer more when he talks about it, but I don't think they have literally anybody else that can touch the ball in the backfield. So if I'm wrong, is that right, Bruce?
Yeah, their backup is out, so it'll just be Donaldson and Justin Johnson. Mathis is the backup. He's out.
Justin Johnson hasn't got any work, has he?
Not too much. Yeah, I don't think they like him nearly as much as they love Donaldson.
Yeah, I mean, so 5,200. I mean, it's going to be hard for me not to play him at this projection that we're seeing for him. So I don't know. I mean, I like this game. I do worry, like Dunkel says, that's one thing I for sure agree with, is these road teams. I always worry a little more than I probably should. I've just seen so many road teams just fall apart at times. I don't know. West Virginia might be bad enough that it doesn't even matter. But, yeah, I mean, obvious spots in this game. Dugan with Johnston, Kendry Miller, Donaldson. These receivers for West Virginia are projected pretty high too, but I don't really know how to use them outside of just as fillers. Like when you're running your 150, see where they land. Because if you're hand building, you're never going to get to them. I mean, Ford Wheaton and Prather, but man, they do project nice just looking at their projections. So they're weird in college where you're never going to really just click them in there, but they are good plays.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of things overall unravel. Like I said, I think to me, Sam James is probably your safest option there. Just because it seems like he gets the most target share on that.
That was the one. We're going to heads today. That was like the one that was way behind the other two for me. You roll them out. Who you got projected out of those, Bruce, between those three?
I like Ford Wheaton the most, but looking back at TCU's previous games, they got destroyed by the slot. So Sam James is in the slot. So he's going to be underowned at maybe less than 2 or 3%.
The problem with Ford Wheaton is how do you play him over like all the other guys in that range? Like it is.
That's
brutal.
the problem with all the West Virginia receivers. It's hard to click them. But when you just run, I wouldn't be shocked at all if we get to the end of the day and one of these guys ships somebody a tournament just because no one's really going to have them. They're projected good. You don't know who to even play. Like Dunkel loves James. I kind of like Prather just because of price, and Bruce likes Ford Wheat. So it's like all three of them, but we don't like, I mean, the quarterback play on top of it. It's just a weird spot.
And here's the thing, like no one's even going to play JT Daniels. Like people are going to want exposure.
Maybe that's the play.
People are going to want exposure to the game. I mean, granted, he hasn't had good games recently, but this is a pretty good smash. I mean, TCU plays at hyper speed offensively. It's going to speed up West Virginia. Nobody's going to play him at quarterback, and he's got 30-point upside, especially if this game shoots. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely be different by playing him, especially on a slate where in that price range, nobody's playing JT Daniels.
I think you might be onto something because in college, these game stacks go nuts. I didn't really know how to do it, but all of a sudden you play Daniels with two receivers. I mean, this game could easily shoot out. Like we think TCU will handle him, but it's still a 70 total and a somewhat close spread. Like this game could easily shoot. And you get off that Donaldson chalk a little bit by playing the passing game.
I mean, Tony, for the record, I'm just gonna do the Anthony Wayne. I'm gonna go to the game logs and say this dude literally has one game at 31.
Believe me, I had him X'd out of my pool until they just said that. But
one game. I mean, there's no chance you are firing I don't think you're firing JT Daniels today. I'm calling your bluff.
I think you're gonna lose your bluff because I'm pretty interested in it.
He's gonna be on one of your 5, your main teams.
My 3. I only got 3 main today.
So he's gonna be on one of your 3. I don't know about that.
I really like this game shooting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to want exposure to the game. It's just it is tough to love any piece of it. But yeah, if guys are going to scatter randomly wide receivers, it does make you different to play the quarterback that nobody's going to play. All right, so move on to the next game. Florida State.
The key part, Dunkel, though, is you brought the best. There's 3 receivers that are projected good. Like
that's what I mean. Like
I have pieces to go with it. Like he's got to go off though because he just doesn't do much besides throw. So he's going to need like 405, but that happens in college.
Oh, yeah. And again, in a spot like this, I know that we were looking at game logs. It's like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. But like, I'd argue the most comparable team he's played at home this year was Kansas, and that was the game he went off. It is a bit of scheduling too. And again, it's tough because quarterback is so priced wrong today. But again, it makes it even better because no one's going to play him. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for, hey, I don't want to play Donaldson, I don't know which receiver to play for West Virginia. You at least guard yourself from those receivers going off by playing him. If any of those receivers crush, you'll have the points. All right. So
what was JT Daniels' excuse against the Texas Tech defense? What was his excuse?
He was on the road. Man. Going college quarterbacks on the road.
That's it. On the road.
He's gonna own you today, man. Go. Dunkle's got me excited. I like this spot.
Yeah. Also, if you look at both defenses, like TCU hasn't stopped any good quarterback this year. Like the teams that they've played have been pretty bad.
I mean, the best argument I think you can make with that is like TCU is probably leading the whole game, right? And like then they're forced to throw. I think that's like the best argument you can make is like you're getting 4 quarters of just like literally just chucking the ball. Where like that's why I don't like Donaldson, because like there's so many good running backs and I'm getting this dude trailing all game. Like that's the thing I don't love about him that I think is kind of frustrating. So I'm not saying I'm coming full circle here, but that's the take to like kind of consider Daniels more, in my opinion.
You get leverage off it too. It's just great. I think it all comes together. Like in college, we don't know when these games are just going to shoot, and when they shoot, they friggin' shoot. So I don't know. It could fall perfect. I mean, it's not like TCU's a 3-touchdown favorite or something. It's still
I will run my teams with Daniels, and I will hopefully not get any, but we'll see.
You won't get him just by projection because he's projected so bad. You're gonna have to force it.
Well, you might if you like force like certain rules in. So yeah, that depends.
All right, Florida State, Georgia Tech. I'll try to skip past some of these games that don't have all that much relevance. The Georgia Tech side is practically unplayable from top to bottom. I mean, good luck, God bless, if you decide to find some pieces of value there. On the Florida State end, look, running back, right? Between Benson and Toafili.
There you go.
Toafili.
Yep, that's right.
3,900. The guy's going to see some ownership. What are you seeing his ownership at, Bruce?
Shouldn't be as crazy as you think. Maybe 15 to 20.
Okay. Yeah, you get your $3,900 running back in a spot where Florida State's a pretty big favorite. It's very likely one of him or Benson, some combination of the two, find the box. And at their price, that's really all they need to do for you. These guys are going to see ownership, and they're definitely decent spots if you're looking to pay for a cheaper spot at running back. They do come with, of course, variance and some tilting aspects to it. If you're watching the game, you may see them get near the goal line and your guy not be in the game. But all par for the reason why they're the price they are. The receiving end, I think, is all unplayable for Florida State. But Bruce, I'll start with you this time. What do you like in this game?
It's mainly the running backs, like you said, Toafili and Benson. One of those guys is definitely going to score. You can even look at wide receiver. I don't hate a Nate McCollum here at 4,800 in GPPs. His target share over the last 4 weeks has been 24%. 9 targets the last 2 weeks as well. So he's not bad. He's a little slot receiver. So probably not a ton of upside there, but not a bad play, 4,800. Our guy, Johnny Wilson, as well. I think, his target share is 26% the last 4 weeks as well. And he has touchdown upside near the red zone. So other than that, it's pretty much a pass for me on this game. I don't love anybody other than those individual parts.
Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, so the Florida State thing is tough today because I don't really want to play. It's like a 47.5 total, and it's definitely more in like the Florida State's favor. I think it's like a 23.5 point spread. So obviously a lot of points going to be put up on the Florida State side of the ball. So for me, it's like Ward, I think, is not playing, correct? So if he's not going to be in there, it's Benson or I'm probably going to mess up on his last name, Toafili. And you have to guess with which one it's going to be. And as our boy, you like to call him Anthony Wayne, said, there's a lot of opportunity costs at the running back position today, right? Like, yes, that value helps do a lot for your lineup. It might help you get in some big end receivers, but you could make the case that some of these top tier running backs, like, they could easily all go for 40 and have monster games. Like if you played Ibrahim, Deuce Vaughn, and Chase Brown, all those guys could easily put up 30 to 40. And like, I don't know, the score that Toafili puts up at like 15 might not be worth it for sure. So that's something to think about. I like both those running backs. I don't know if Bruce has like a lean. I don't know if he had said it and I missed it, of which guy it's like mainly going to be. Do you have any thoughts on that, Bruce? I think it's like a big conversation point on this slate to like figure out.
Yeah, last week it was 73-27 in the snap percentage for Toafili. So I'd lean there, but Benson can smash too.
That's my lean. Like that's the guy I was looking at was him, but I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Benson. Like
Toafili was 73% of the snaps last week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
3,900. Yeah, especially with how bad this Georgia Tech rush defense is. 117th in line yards on the defensive line.
And he's 3'9". Like you play him, you play KJ Jefferson. Like you're unlocking a lot. Like you got a lot of these studs that you can just play.
Yeah, Tony, how are you approaching it?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are all over it. The running backs are the great plays. It could be a spot. I usually at least one spot a week where I talk about you could play both of them. I think they could just get all of it through the ground. There's a lot of opportunity cost. You guys are definitely right. I don't know if you'd want to do that this week, but you could if it was a weird build where I don't have it in front of me, but Oklahoma game stack or one of these more expensive game stacks where you just want to get totally different. I think you could. And yeah, Toafili or however you say it is definitely going to be the chalkier one just because of the usage. He's 3,900. They have similar projections. So he's definitely going to be one of the chalky ones and way more than no one's going to play Benson. And I kind of agree with Mangone that, we've seen a ceiling from Benson at times. The one week he got 27 and scored twice. He looked good at times. I know my boy Wakey always liked Benson early in the year. So I kind of think Benson could be extremely sneaky in this spot where they could just kill this team on the ground. No one's going to play him. But, yeah, we got a bunch of games. Just the two running backs for me are in the pool.
Okay. Syracuse, Notre Dame. We're looking at here. Syracuse, 25 points projected. Notre Dame, 22.5. Look, the main things that stick out in this game are, once again, Schrader's under 6K. I've said this last week. 6K or less, Schrader's definitely an auto bid to be in your lineups. Don't really care the matchup, except for, of course, Clemson or Georgia would be spots that would stop me there. Tony loves that. I love Clemson.
They were so terrible too after we talked about it. They were horrible.
So, Schrader's going to see ownership today, of course. It's a good play. I think that, Tucker's a good pivot at 7K. This is a guy 2-3 weeks ago that if you saw him at 7K in a spot like this, you'd probably not only say lock him in your lineup, but you'd play him a lot. One of the few running backs in D1 that doesn't leave the field. Ironically enough, though, he was dealing with, was it an injury or something? He was in the sidelines a lot more than he normally is last week or the week before, whatever week it was. But he was still getting in there. What I found interesting was he's one of the better running backs in D1. Dude had 5 carries in Syracuse's biggest game of the year. But again, I think he was hampered up that game. Look, Schrader's going to see ownership, and well deserved. But a game like this does seemingly have a glass ceiling, because you saw it, right? If Syracuse is to go up, you saw what they did against Clemson. They just put the brakes on their own offense. It's that head coach, Dino
Babers.
Dino Babers. Yeah. So you saw it against Clemson. He'll do the same thing against Notre Dame. If this team goes up with Schrader having a big first half or Tucker having a big first half, this team will start punting from their own 40. They will start doing things to lock in the win and take less chances. But if Notre Dame can score, that will open some things up. Now, if Notre Dame scores, I'd argue a guy like Myers, good option at 56. I know people don't like playing Pine, but again, he's 52, 5,400. If he happens to get their touchdowns, he's going to get there for you. So anyway, I'm definitely gonna have Schrader, definitely gonna have some Meyer, definitely gonna be pairing Schrader with Tony's boy, Gadsden, who is seeing just an enormous amount of target share.
Good. Like he's actually good.
So Tony, I'll stick with you because I know you like the Syracuse team. What do you like in this one?
This dude doesn't even have a quarterback that can throw, and he's good. Like he's just good. So I don't know. This game seems super easy to me. Like if you play Schrader, play him with Gadsden and Mayer. I will even set a rule. Like if Schrader's in my lineup, I want both of those guys in there. 2 receivers too, which is kind of a nice pairing where I could end up today with all the good running backs. You just a little correlation there without full correlation. You got a lot of things and cheap prices too. I mean, Mayer just continues to be underpriced. I mean, he just gets fed the ball. They want him to beat whatever the award is for the best tight end in the country. They want him to get that, which he is. He's going to get it. He's crushing. Just an easy rule though. Schrader with those two, or I mean, I guess you could play Tucker, but again, running backs loaded. We got to make decisions. It's a 48 total. Tucker's just going to be the odd man out for me. Not because I don't like him. He's fine. It's just I would rather go with other guys. And I like the pairing of Schrader with these two. So Tucker's going to be out for me this week.
How about you, Mangone?
Yeah, I don't think I love Tucker, so I don't think I'm getting to him that much. Just think there's like there's so many good running back options up top, and it's kind of like the situation I was talking about before with like the Ford Wheaton thing. Like, I don't know, I got to make a cut somewhere, right? I just can't load in like 8 running backs up top and be like, yeah, let me mix and match them. I just don't think you can do it. So I feel like I have to make a cut on Tucker. Schrader's fine. Someone I'll probably keep in the pool. But like, we'll see how much I get of him. And then Gatson, I think is interesting, but again, like, I don't know, there's a lot of good receivers you can go to. The one thing that's nice is at least he's in this, like, he's kind of in his own tiering range, right? It's 6.1K. So I do think that Gatson is definitely in the conversation. And then Schrader, Gatson, and like a nice little pairing of Mayer. You could make that like a little combination to go to. I'm not going to Pine. I think Pine is not as great of a play. And I'll just play Mayer, like probably like kind of like Tony said, like if you're going to price him at 5K all season, like I'm just going to keep playing him. Like it's just absurd, the price tag they keep giving him. It's absolutely dumb.
What about you, Bruce?
Yeah, I think it's Mayer for me, and Gadsden. Schrader's a solid play as well. It's crazy. The target share for Mayer is 41% the last 4 weeks, which is
I legitimately think this is going to sound crazy, and it's probably not totally true, but I think he should be closer to like Hutchinson than he is. He's not as good, so people out there are going to make fun of that statement, but I don't think he's that far from what he's doing. He's just priced in the 5Ks every week.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's way too low. And then Gadsden, as you mentioned, his 37% target share over the last 4 weeks as well. 11.
What'd you say Mayers was?
41. So
you
40,
can play two guys in your stack with a cheap quarterback, and they're both getting basically 40% target share.
Yeah, it's dumb. Yeah, those two guys are just too good. The rest of the game is kind of trash. It's gonna be really slow. I think Notre Dame 106th in seconds per play, Syracuse 89th, which could even get worse once they get ahead. So it's not a stackable game for me, but yeah, there's just too many, a few couple good individual plays there.
All right, let's move on to the next game. That is, hold please. Penn State, Ohio State. Look, Penn State side's not a lot to love, but on Iowa State side, look, arguably Henderson's cheapest tag all year. Not much to love about Henderson, but woof. You want to talk about playing guys when they're priced too cheap. Henderson at 6'6", can't imagine he's going to see a whole lot of ownership. And it's a game where he'll be on the field the entire game. It's always tough to look at the Ohio State game logs, right? Because they blow out most of the teams they play. I'm not saying they won't blow out Penn State, but this is a game where you would figure Ohio State starters play the entire game. That's going to be good for a player like Henderson. Again, and he's going to be looked past. Like again, if Ohio State, I keep saying it, if they were playing teams that were competitive all year, Henderson's numbers would be better and people would love him in this spot at 66. But because they've been blowing out everybody and they finally get a little tougher, stiffer competition on the road, by the way, where you likely see a less than perfect Stroud, it makes sense that this team tries to establish the run, try to establish their offensive line dominance. Henderson, I think, is a really sneaky good play. What are you seeing his ownership at, Bruce?
Should be single digits. Let me pull it up here. Sorry, I was looking at something else.
No.
Yeah, single digits should be about 5% or so.
So, I mean, if you look back between week 4, week 6, games that weren't even really competitive, he averaged 20 carries a game in those. Returns last week in a game that's an absolute massacre of a blowout. Look, I get it's always tough playing a guy like him in an offense like Iowa State where they just throw the ball the entire game. But man, he definitely, I know it doesn't show in his game logs, but if you watch this dude last year, like this dude has 35, 40 point upside in the right script. So just keep that in mind as an option. Obviously, Egbuka and Harrison are going to be good options as well. I would not play more than one player from this game or from this team in the same game personally. So maybe put that into your saver sims or optimizers. But on the Penn State side, I don't like anything. I'm looking here. Did I jot down anybody that I liked? So yeah, I mean, you can play Johnson, wide receiver for Penn State at 3-2. Kind of had a coming out party in his last game if you buy that. And then look, some of these receivers for Penn State games are going to be throwing all game long. You can look into that. Clifford at 7K is priced too high. He has rushing upside. He has rushing touchdown upside, but he's likely going to be sacked quite a bit today, which is going to neutralize a lot of that. So yeah, not much on the Penn State side. Iowa State side, I think you play one of the three, either the two receivers. Oh, Fleming's in there as well because he's always 51, so he's an option. So any of the three receivers or Henderson, I would not play more than one from this game personally. But Mangone, this time I'll start with you. This doesn't seem like a Mangone game. But you like anything?
Definitely not a game I'm loading up on, but like I can't ignore Egbuka. I can't ignore Harrison Jr., right? They're good plays on this slate. So I think you have to consider them. You keep them in the pool and then you run it, you see kind of how much exposure you get. And then you kind of like tinker through with your receivers. So I think they're good options. And Fleming's another one. Like I'll leave in the pool because like again, like the cheap receivers, this has been a year where there's been a lot of really good like receivers below 5K that you're like, okay, like I can sprinkle this guy. He's pretty good. This slate, there's just not as many of those. So I do think Fleming has to be a little bit in the conversation today, just because, yes, maybe Ohio State isn't in like the smash spot of all smash spots, but with no JSN, this is going to help their usage. And when they're in competitive games, like Ohio State is going to be chucking for 4 quarters more than likely. So I do think you got to consider these receivers.
Okay. Tony, what about you?
Yeah. This game looks like a sneaky game stack to me where I don't know. I just have a feeling Penn State's going to be able to score just a little bit on this team. And I do like the chat too. Spencer said, stop disrespecting us, Dunkel, calling us Iowa State. That's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just pieces in this game that I think are decent. Like these Penn State guys are going to be just totally unowned, which if they can score, which obviously this is how college goes. And I think why game stacks work at times. Just no one's going to play them. And if they can score, these Ohio State guys are just going to totally nuke. And yeah, it could go the other way. And you're definitely not going to win if they don't, because that's how it goes. But if they can get to like high 20s, low 30s somehow, I think they can. I don't know. I just feel like at home, they're going to be able to do it with Clifford, Parker Washington, this Tinsley. I like him. None of these guys are going to get played at all. And these are guys I wouldn't play in any teams besides just a game stack. Like build a game stack, put them in. You don't want them in your 150. You don't want, because most of the time they're not going to be good. So hopefully people understand what I mean by that. Ohio State, I really don't want them outside of the game stack either. So this is just a game. Like you can't play Stroud. If you play Stroud, you almost have to play 2 with him. And you got 3 receivers to play with him because they're all good. Even Fleming, 5,100. I think Bruce said he's got a touchdown every game, last 4 games or whatever he's played. So I like him with the 2 studs. I don't know. I think it's a decent game stack. If you play Stroud, though, I do think you need to play 2 with him instead of just 1, which, as Dunkel talked about earlier, people just don't do it. But if you play those 3, like how are they getting there if Penn State's not scoring? So that's where it leads me right back to the game stack.
Especially at their price, Tony, right? Like Stroud is
high.
Like it's that price tag is really high on him. So like I totally understand that angle.
For example, like a team that I could play in a tournament that is either going to finish first or last, which we like in tournaments, would be those. You could even do like those 2 Florida State running backs with like there's a 3K guy. I don't think we've got to him yet at running back. Just get really different at running back, which is off all the chalk, which is it's a tough build, but it's tournaments. We're trying to get to the top. Stack this game up. Your whole team's unowned. And I don't know. That's just my tournament mind working a little bit. A lot of plays you would not normally play.
Fair enough. All right, Minnesota Rutgers. Rutgers is going to see one of the cheapest plays on the slate, or actually is the cheapest play in the slate. The running back sees basically every touch at 3K. This is an absolute brutal matchup though. So, use that how you will. I do not play these guys in these spots because I do feel like they have very limited upside. And again, you're going to just need a guy with better upside. And the pricing on this slate, like you don't need it. But Brown for Rutgers at 3K for a team that's projected less than 2 touchdowns. And also, by the way, Minnesota's pretty brutal against the run. One of the best teams in D1 against the run. And this guy doesn't catch passes either. But yes, if you're looking for a cheapy 3K guy, sure, he can get there for you, potentially. On the Minnesota side, Ibrahim is 7-3. But man, I have some concerns. Like Potts is going to be back today, and they seemingly like to sprinkle him in a lot more than you'd like them to in a game that's going to absolutely crawl. Rutgers plays slow, Minnesota plays slow. Both teams play super conservative. Yeah, ugly game. I'm an Ibrahim guy. I typically play him weekly. This is going to be a week I don't play him, or I have extremely low, maybe one lineup with him, maybe. So if he beats me today, he beats me. I just think for the matchup, he's not priced great. And I think Potts coming back is going to steal some of his thunder. So yeah, not playing Ibrahim this week. Big T, see you smirking. What are your thoughts?
I don't feel good being on the different side with the uncle with everything. I mean, the dude gets 30 carries a week and he's usually 9,300. He's 7,300. And you said he's too cheap at 7,300.
I said he's priced high for the matchup.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, college, I just continue to play these guys that get 30 carries, and everyone always worries about the other guy that comes in and steals the series here. And they were down like 3 touchdowns last week, just handing this dude off the rock. I have to play Big Mo. The dude just gets so many carries, and he's going against Rutgers, who couldn't stop Bruce and Mangone running up the middle. So
that's hurtful.
I mean,
what do you mean?
7,300.
Me and Bruce are a dynamic duo in the backfield.
I would play both of you against Rutgers. It'd be the 2-man combo going up the middle. So
Bruce gets the first and second down work. I come in for that third.
Yeah,
down
that
work.
pass game work. I like that. I mean, I don't know. I think Mo Ibrahim is just a total smash today. I think he's too cheap, and I think he's gonna just absolutely smash Rutgers. The 3K guy, I agree with Dunkel. I mean, I don't love him. But don't get me wrong, if I find a perfect team where I need a 3K running back, I won't be scared to slap him in there. I don't like it. He probably won't do much, but we've seen it over the last 5 years. I mean, even if these 3K running backs get you like 6 and your game shoots out, it just doesn't matter. They're just so cheap. So I don't like him. I'm definitely with Dunkel on that one, but also won't be scared to play him if I have to make a team work.
Fair enough. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned Ibrahim, like it's obviously, maybe I'm being a bit egregious. Like it's not that he's a bad play. And I'm definitely going to have a lineup with him at least, but to me, the games I've watched where Potts is healthy, he feels like he's in every third series. Like, it's not like he's seeing an occasional series. Like the dude is in, feels like every third series. But Bruce, you might have a better take there on that in terms of what they're doing with that backfield. Potts is now seemingly back healthy after he was out a week or two. What's your thoughts on Ibrahim today in the backfield overall?
I still think he sees his 25, 30 carries today. I think Potts is good, but they just love Mo so much. So
one of the things early, not to interrupt, Bruce, one of the things early though was Mo was still working back from the injury too when Potts was getting those carries.
Yeah. The thing about Rutgers, if you look at their schedule, they've played one good running back this year. And if you look at it, it was Ohio State. It was the backup, Mine Williams was in there. I think Henderson was out. He ran for almost 200 yards and had a couple touchdowns. So it's just a good spot for me. It's Minnesota's homecoming game as well. It just lines up perfect for a big Mo game. 7,300 just seems 2K too cheap for him.
All right, you guys convinced me.
Yeah,
get in there with us. It's not too late.
Something to watch with Sam Brown, the 3K guy. He missed like the last 12 minutes of their last game. He should have been in there. He was crushing, but he hurt his ankle. They were taping it on the sideline. So, if he misses today, It's going to be a lot. I mean, you could still cash with a 0 3K, but yeah, just something to keep an eye out for. I don't like the spot anyway, so I'm pretty much gonna avoid it and try and get up to Toafili if I can. The passing game, I don't like anything there. Sean Ryan, I guess he could play, but he's 4,200. He's been pretty good the last few weeks. He was good at West Virginia as well. But yeah, pretty much avoiding those spots.
Mangone, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm distracted by the game because AP found my Halloween date, he said, and it's some girl that's like all tatted up in the NCAA chat. So we
No way. AP found a lady. I don't believe it.
Yeah, he found a lady.
I refuse to believe that, man. God.
Oh, it's good. It's got to check the NCAA chat on the Discord. But what game are we on, Dunkel?
No, just go to the next game, Dunkel. We just argued for 10 minutes. AP's got our boy distracted.
Oh, it's the Minnesota game. I got it now. Minnesota. Yeah, you guys were talking about me and Bruce running up down the middle against Rutgers.
Exactly.
That's
You
okay.
remember
So,
now.
Ibrahim's a great play. Yeah, you didn't get on Dunkel. I was kind of annoyed at you there, Tony. He's like,
I did get on him. What do you mean I didn't get on him?
Kinda. This is the thing you should have got.
I literally made fun of him.
No.
What are you talking about?
This is what he said. This is what he said that was key. So I'm gonna get one Ibrahim. That's what you're supposed to get on him. Like one Ibrahim.
For the second part, I didn't get on. I already got on him about not playing him.
Yeah,
Man,
just
that
go over
is
the top,
that is
man.
hurtful that he said one though.
Don't throw him through the table once. Throw him twice. Throw him through that table. I mean, it's like, what do you mean you're getting one Ibrahim? What's the point at that point, Uncle? Like, just
I didn't
get
want to
another
kick
chase.
him while he was already down. I mean, Bruce came off the top rope and got him, and then I didn't want to just pile on again.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want it, you do it every week about my golf game, so why not the Dunkel?
I mean, that golf game. What? Ooh.
So, anyways, let's keep this thing moving. Let's talk about Ibrahim a little more. He's a great player. I'm going to be all over him. So the one guy I'm considering, I'm with Dunkel though. I'm not playing the 3K guy. Like it's not a play for me. There's other cheap running backs or other great ways you can get exposure to value than kind of just taking a gamble on Brown. So I'll let other people play Brown and just figure out what happens with the rest of my lineups.
All right, let's move on. Georgia, Florida. Typical spot where, let me just look. Yeah, Florida 17, Georgia 39.5 team totals. Yeah, an easy fade spot for Florida. Their pricing's not great either, even considering it's a terrible matchup. So, yeah, easy pass on Florida. On Georgia, we look at some defensive splits here, doesn't surprise. Georgia's one of the best rushing teams in the country. Georgia's one of the most efficient passing teams in the country. Florida is one of the worst teams in D1 against the run, and Florida is also bad against the pass. This has a slot reel type scoring game for Georgia in the mix. But yeah, there's so many different faces that land in the box on this team. Running back, I think, would be, if you're looking to target anywhere, running back would probably be a spot to mix and match. This would be another game where I would not play more than one person from the same game. However, Edwards at 4,100, likely to see some ownership, likely to get a decent amount of time on the field. As we saw with the Auburn blowout, he has multiple touchdown upside. And it looks like they're liking him more and more. Touchdown in 3 straight. Bruce, what do you see in Dejan Edwards ownership at today?
It should be under 10, somewhere around 5 or so.
Yeah, so to me, if you're trying to figure out which guy is going to score for Georgia, look no further than the guy who scored in 3 straight games. Now, the only question I have is, actually no, because the Missouri game was close. I was wondering maybe he's only getting snaps in blowouts, but no, he's getting snaps every week. And remember, 4,100, he gets you 10. You're not hurting. And to me, he has more upside, of course, than 10. He has 20-point upside to me. He's gotten 10 in 4 straight games, blowout or not. He would be the guy at running back I would play. And then look, Bowers, NFL prototype, that's been doing nothing the last few weeks, big division game. Maybe they finally get him involved. I won't play him, but remember, it wasn't too long ago this guy was priced in the 7Ks. He's getting dipping down lower and lower. He's probably more talented than Meyer. Take that for what it's worth, but this offense doesn't pass as much, obviously. So me, yeah, running back, potentially Bowers if a lineup makes sense, but other than that, it's going to be a pass spot for me. I'm sorry, Edwards. Bruce, what do you like in this game?
So when I looked at it, Florida, I looked at their defense. If you look at their last 3 games, they're allowing 75% completion percentage to quarterbacks. These are the quarterbacks: Gunnar Talkington, Brady Cook, and Jaden Daniels. So, like, I mean, Stetson Bennett is just head and shoulders above those guys. So I don't mind Stetson Bennett on this slate as a spend up. He has like 1 game or 2 games a year where he just goes nuts. And, if somehow Florida can keep it close for a couple quarters, I don't hate that in GPPs at all. They're giving up 29 points per game to quarterbacks as well. So I think he has like a 40 ceiling if he has a big game here. I like pairing him with Bowers. Maybe a guy like Lad McConkey, which is like the worst name, widest name of all time. But yeah, I like those guys. The running backs you mentioned, Edwards and McIntosh. McIntosh a little priced up, but he has pass catching upside. I think he's maybe second in target share on that team, 5 targets per game or so. So he's not bad either. Florida side, I don't want anybody. Maybe a guy like Justin Shorter at 4,300, but mostly fading that side.
Okay, Tony, what about you?
Yeah, I'll keep this one short. I don't see a ton. Bowers, though, you can always put Bowers in there, 6,600. Don't see a ton here, though.
Mangone?
Yeah, I mean, just Bowers or bust probably. I know the running back's kind of in play, but yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this game. Let's keep this thing moving along. I'd say if you mix in Bowers, that's fine.
Okay. Cal, Oregon. Cal projected 20.5. Oregon 38. Bo Nix 9.4. This dude just seemingly gets there every week. It's crazy. Like I think we were talking on this on the Print Factory, Tony. Like we're quick to judge coaching, good and bad. But sometimes it's relevant, right? This dude looks like a different player in this system. Now, not saying he looks any better potentially at the next level, but he looked like a really shitty quarterback in his years in the SEC. And here he just looks like an absolute weekly stud in this offense. He's hitting seam routes perfectly. He's making right decisions with the football, whether he runs or not. And he's also a big dude, which helps. This is a tough spot though for Oregon offensively. I mean, granted, this is a game they should win handily, but Cal just plays so slow. Look, Oregon obviously can get there, but you're paying peak prices for some of these dudes. Like, think about it. Like last week, you were in a really juicy matchup in a fast-paced game, and these guys were priced at what they were. They're priced what they were this week now, in a much slower game. Granted, if Cal goes 3 and out every play, it's not going to matter, but they'll likely move the ball in some facet. So yeah, Bo Nix is in play, but I probably had lower than the field on Bo Nix last week. I'm definitely going to be lower this week. Again, a road quarterback in a matchup against a snail. He can get there, but I'll take my chances elsewhere. Franklin's overpriced at 6.8 for this matchup. I know that he absolutely exploded last week, but think about it, like the matchup made a lot of sense for him too. On the running back side for Oregon, Bucky Irving, it's nice to see him getting a lot more touches recently. He's in play. I won't play him though, but he's in play. Catches passes, he's been catching passes, which is nice. I mean, I guess at 5'7", I guess I could be convinced into him, pending what you guys think. On the Cal side is just so tough. Like I don't even know Ott, I guess, but you don't even, not even anything you like. Hunter at 5K maybe, but Mangone, I'll start with you. What do you like or not like in this game?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to spend on Bo Nix today. I mean, yeah, sure, he's going to put up points, but like, how much you guys think Cal's going to be able to hang in this game? I'm a little worried about that. So I'm not dying to really play too much from this game. Yeah, sure. If you want to play Bo Nix, go for it. But I have other ways I'm spending my salary today. And it's hard to get like Franklin in there. And then I do think that Cal, like, not the run backs, but Cal receivers could be interesting just because if you look at some of these receivers at their price tags, we struggle for some sour relief plays like Anderson, and I'm going to mess up this guy's name, Sturdivant or whatever his name is. I mean, he's projecting pretty well. He's 5.2K. Like some of these guys do make some sense when it comes to just like what they can do for your overall salary. I think Anderson's probably my favorite just because at 3.5, he just helps me jam in a lot more of these like top end guys that I want to get to. So I think you can make a case for that just because he's kind of like West Virginia, right? We're expecting California to be in a trailing script for most of the game. And if that's the case, then you gotta have some interest in some of these receivers. That's all I really have interest in so far in this game. I think you can make a case for some of these Oregon running backs, but here's my problem. I don't want to play the guessing game for one. And two, there's other running backs I just want to play. There's just so many good ones that I want to load up on that I just can't get that excited about someone like Irvin.
Now, Tony, in a slate where cheaper quarterbacks is going to be the plus option. While I don't love the matchup for Knicks, it's hard to imagine he gets you less than 25 today. Is he a quarterback you're considering?
Yeah, I mean, you guys bring up good points. The guy's just a stud too. We do come back to our road game though, slower pace. I can't wait to play Bo Nix in a spot again with Franklin. Franklin's like my favorite because not this week. I'll clarify, not this week because of everything Dunkel said, slower pace on the road. But everyone hates like guys that don't get 100 targets. That's the new thing everyone chases, which is good. I mean, you should chase targets. I'm not saying you shouldn't. But when you're playing with a guy like Bo Nix that has just unlimited upside and you can play Franklin at like 3% own like last week, he's the reason I won was because no one played him with Bo. And he just has so much upside that targets, and then it tilts all the people that chase the targets. Like, oh, 3 targets and he's got 38 points and blah, blah, blah. Like it just tilts him and that makes me even happier. So I like it, but Dunkel is right. This week, it is hard. I mean, 9,400 for Bo Nix. You're going to need Cal to do something, and they just play slow. The total's not even in the 60s. I mean, Oregon scored over 40 every week, I think, after week 1.
Yeah.
Bo Nix has gone off every week, and yet the total's only 57. That just tells you Cal plays. It's a big spread, too. Believe me, I want to play Nix and Franklin, but I think it's just a bad play this week. I mean, I think he does probably still get to 30, but honestly, at 9,400, you're going to need 40 at quarterback. You just are. You're going to need Cal to score. Can't play Franklin. These Cal receivers, I do like the Sturdvedant, or however you say it. And yeah, Anderson at 3,500. I don't know how much I'll get just because, again, I like to correlate, I think, more than most people do in college. I don't know. It's a slow game. They're fine, though. I'm going to leave them in the pool. If they hit, they hit, but definitely not forcing them in.
Okay. Bruce, how you approaching this one?
I think there's great value in this game. Maven Anderson, the slot receiver for Cal, played 94% of the snaps last week in the slot, and gets about 5 targets per game, has a couple touchdowns, scored one last week against Washington. Should be trailing, so I like him more as a value piece than Sam Brown, the running back for Rutgers. So I like that spot. Cal has been so bad on defense. I just think that Oregon runs away with this one. So I like the run back there for Cal. Bo Nix, yeah, he's okay in GPPs. Plummer's so bad, I don't see how you can play him. He does have some rushing upside, but he's been banged up lately.
That's not the dude from Purdue, is it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, your favorite.
I'm glad I asked because I was wondering that earlier.
Yeah.
God, he's bad.
He's been banged up too, so he's even slower than usual. He looked bad against Washington last week. But yeah, I think Maven Anderson's probably the one guy. But J. Michael Sturdivant has been good. I think Hunter will be back this week. So, but I think Sturdivant will see some ownership for sure. Most sites see 15 to 20 or so.
Okay. Kansas State, Oklahoma State. This is probably one of the more interesting games because of some injuries between Adrian Martinez, between Richardson on the other side. Could give you some nice value in some spots. I mean, Will Howard at 6,200. Oof, is that a good spot if Martinez is out? And on the Oklahoma State side, if Richardson is out, I mean, Nixon's in a really good spot at his price at 49. Then you got this broken down receiving game for Oklahoma State. I think that Bryson Green has been such a smash spot when these guys are out. Jaden Bray's already been ruled out, I think. Oh no. Actually, let me ask you this, Bruce. Who actually has been ruled out for Oklahoma State, if anybody?
I don't think anybody yet. I'm going to do a little digging on that because that's a good question. I think John Paul Richardson's in, so he's always a good play in the slot. But yeah, if some of these guys are in, it just muddies it up even more.
Yeah, I think if you get some of these news with these guys out, like Richardson should be in, but if somehow he's out, like again, this team's got to throw the ball to somebody, and Bryson Green seems like that guy consistently when these guys are out, and he's 5'4". So just keep that in mind. But a game like this with so much top heavy stuff early, Tony, how do you look at a game like this where injuries is pivotal towards your lineup building? Because if you wait enough and time it just right, you can get the right optimal guys here from this game in lineups that you already have other pieces in. So how do you look at a game like this?
I just have been so down on Oklahoma State. They've kind of beat me up too every week. So just to be fair, I've been on the wrong side of them. I still just don't believe they're any good. The lines makers really don't believe they're any good. I don't know. I'm not going to wait on the news. I think they're banged up, and I just don't like them. And it's a road spot for Oklahoma State going to K-State. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of games. I'm just going to take the easy way out on this game. You will not see me have people. I could play deuce. I take that back. I could play some deuce, but no one else. You won't see anybody else unless just crazy news hits and I have to pivot or something. But as of right now, I just don't like this game.
Okay. Mango, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely like Sanders a little bit. I feel like I've been on the right side of Sanders this year, so that's been nice, but you have to pair his receivers up right. That's the one key. And I do think it's Green is the main guy that I would just kind of key in on and kind of call it a day. You can obviously mix and match some of these other guys, keep them in the pool, see what happens, but depends how much Sanders you're going to want to get compared to some of these other options. And then got to obviously like Deuce Vaughn at 7K. I mean, it's a pretty good spot for him. You just have to decide, is it him, Ibrahim, Chase Brown? Like kind of have to like figure out how you want to mix and match some of these other running backs up top. And there's still other ones that we haven't even discussed that are great too. So overall, I think it's a good game to get exposure to. Not get ignored. I definitely want to make sure I'm getting exposure to Vaughn, want to get some exposure to Sanders and some of that pass game as well. Okay. Bruce, did you touch on this game?
No. Yeah, there's the wide receiver situation is going to be something to watch. If for some reason Braden Johnson misses again, Stephon Johnson actually looked great last week, and he's minimum price, so I need to add him to the playbook as well. He got 73% of the snaps last week, and I think had a touchdown catch. No, maybe not. He had one that was close, I believe. But yeah, he really stuck out last week. I know someone asked me in the chat about him previous to the game, and I saw him play, but he kind of really impressed last week. Running back situation is the one to watch. Nixon and Gordon would take most of the snaps if for some reason Richardson missed. Deuce Vaughn is going to be pretty chalky, I think, in this one. Even though Oklahoma State has done well against the running back spot, but he's just a different guy. So I don't mind him there. Should be around 20-25%. Don't want to play anyone at the quarterback spot other than maybe some Spencer Sanders, sprinkle him in a little bit. But yeah, it's not a game I love. Kansas State's a tough place to go to and win. But yeah, that's mainly it.
That Johnson call's a pretty good one. Because if these guys are out, he's 3K. You don't have a lot of cheap value at receiver today, that's for sure. All right, Louisville Wake. I will say this: my favorite high-priced quarterback of the day is Cunningham for Louisville. He gets the speed up with Wake. He is a guy that you can basically lock in for 60, 70 rushing yards every game. He basically takes every goal line snap. Like he doesn't hand anything off. And his home road splits for his career have been like as incredible as any college quarterback. The dude is a much better performer at home than on the road. And Tony, I'm interested in your perspective because you love this Wake offense. It's a pretty easy stack run back. I mean, you go Hartman, Perry, you run back Cunningham. No one's going to have that pairing because of the prices. Or even you just play Perry, Cunningham, however you want to do it to give yourself exposure to this game in a total that's high. You're going to see two fast-paced teams. So that's kind of where I'm looking at. I don't love anything specific in this game outside of what I just referenced. But Tony, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, you always know kind of where I'm at, and I always want to stack the weight games because 3 or 4 times a year they just go totally nuts. Other games they don't, and you lose. But that, again, I say it every week. That's fine. You got to sacrifice a few teams for the other teams, and that's why I get different more than most with my like main teams where I'll stack here. Like my main teams are very rarely the same guys. So I don't know. This game definitely could shoot out. No one can argue that. I mean, we got what even is it? A 65 total, which feels a tiny bit low even for these two teams. But Hartman is always a great stack because you got 3 receivers you can put with him. I always hate Wake's running back, so that makes it easy. With Hartman too, I mean, he can just nuke. We've seen it. Like the dude has 50+ point upside in Cunningham. You can do it on the ground. I will say I have great mojo with Hartman. He's treated me very good. I have the exact opposite with Cunningham. He always sucks when I play him. He always either gets hurt or just is miserable. But man, I'm with Uncle here. I like this spot. Cunningham, man, he looks good. And even at receiver for Louisville, a lot of people will just play Cunningham and not play a receiver, which is probably okay. And you don't need a receiver. I still would like at least one. That's just how I build. I know you don't need it, but man, it just feels better to me to, if you're stacking it up, to have at least one of these guys. Even like Ford at 4,200, I think he's a tight end. I don't know. I like him okay, but I love this game stack. I will have a ton of this game.
All right, Mango, what about you?
What happened with A.T. Perry actually before you pass it? Last week I played him, but I felt like he was just kept coming out. Was he in trouble or something, or was I just like how many snaps did he play?
Let's see. He 65%. They went to Banks a lot last week, so yeah, I don't know.
That was higher than I thought. I felt like he was coming out a ton. He did score. He got there, but I just was frustrated watching him. It felt like he wasn't playing as much as he should have.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a good game. I like Perry. Banks and Green are fine, but like I do like to pair up Perry more than likely if I can. Definitely want to play Hartman though. Want to make sure he's paired up with someone. And I don't mind playing naked quarterbacks. I know Big T doesn't like it, but I mean, it's Malik Cunningham. Like we know what he can do.
If there was ever going to be a guy for me, it would be him because he definitely does not throw it well.
You also know what's nice about someone like Malik Cunningham? I don't have to play the guessing game. I don't have to be like, well, let me just try and guess which receiver it's going to be. Like, that's like the annoying part. That's why sometimes maybe not playing Spencer Sanders is nice, even though I know he runs a bit, but like some of these quarterbacks, it can be frustrating playing the guessing game for sure. That's why I hate playing Maryland's quarterback, baby Tua. Like, it's just frustrating. So, yeah, overall, I think this is a good spot to go to, but I think it's mainly looking at Hartman, looking at one of these receivers, like Perry the most. You can obviously go with Green or Banks if you'd like, and then running it back with, just Malik and calling it a day. I think it's a great way to kind of make your teams.
All right, we got 2 games left. So let's try to speed past these. Hold on, a little slow on the move to the next page. All right, Nebraska, Illinois. Again, to me, pretty easy game. The Chase Brown ownership is going to be high, but it is very well deserved. You're talking a team in Nebraska. It's one of the bottom feeders in D1 against the run, 4.8 yards per rushing attempt. And Illinois, I mean, Chase Brown is as talented as any running back, I guess, or any running back in the league currently, I guess. The offense, though, this game figures to snail a bit, right? I mean, Illinois, I think projected 29, Nebraska 21.5. Nebraska will speed this team up of Illinois, though. But if you watch Illinois games, they really crawl. It's kind of their thing. They play good defense and they run the football. Chase Brown is their entire offense. And this is a good spot for him, a really good spot for him. He's probably not priced enough, but you guys brought up a good point on maybe Chase Brown is getting near his peak price and Ibrahim is getting down to his auto play price. With that said, though, Brown again is in a really good spot. I don't like Trey Palmer today at this price. But yeah, you get a guy with a lot of upside and a receiving core that's just hasn't receiving wide receiver slate today. That's not as ideal. Guy's got a low floor. Guy practically scores every week. Gets a ton of targets. They likely are playing from behind, so it's not terrible. So yeah, you can go Brown run back on the other side with Palmer. I'll have some Palmer, but I'll definitely be underweight. No Thompson for me. His price is good, but the matchup's terrible. So yeah, to me, Brown's going to see a ton of ownership and deservedly so. Can't play Grant at 67 either, personally. But Bruce, you're good with the ownership projection stuff. Brown, is he going to be sub 30% today?
Yeah, he's going to be over. I think he'll be near 50 or so.
Fair enough. So outside of him, well, obviously I'm sure you like him, but who else, or if anybody in this game?
Yeah, nobody else. I guess you can make a case for Isaiah Williams. He's probably at his lowest price he's been all year. Pat Bryant there also. But yeah, I don't want to play a receiver against a team that's given up 45% completion percentage on the year, as Illinois is. Just a good defense. Just mainly just Brown in this one.
Okay, Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, I think Brown's mainly the guy I'm going to. I don't really want to play Palmer. Palmer's just too expensive. There's a lot of good receivers I want to spend up for. So it's Chase Brown or bust for me.
Okay, Tony, what about you?
Yeah, my two favorite plays of the slate in this game, Chase Brown, just a lock, 7,500 going against Nebraska. I don't see any way you fade him. Just going to smash. But my favorite tournament play of the day, no one's going to play him. I freaking love it. Trey Palmer, he's too expensive. No one, the classic example. The dude, I watched him 2 straight weeks, just absolutely nuke, wide open every freaking play. I'm not fading him anymore, and I'm so happy that we get a spot that no one's going to play him because he looked absolutely incredible. Eyeball test, back-to-back weeks. Can't freaking wait to get him unowned in this spot. I'm glad he's priced up. Give me all the Trey Palmer because that's what I want, baby. Right with Chase Brown. I just can't wait for this spot. It's a low total, but give me a low-owned guy that just continues to be wide open every single freaking play. Tons of big games. He's going to crush. Absolutely love him. So I like Isaiah Williams a tiny bit too, but I don't know if I want, especially with how high I am on Chase Brown and Trey Palmer. I don't know if I can play much Isaiah Williams, but I don't mind him either. I kind of think this game it goes over the low total.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, Palmer's got the upside for sure. And it's a trailing script. So yeah, and you're right. In that range, people are just going to play Hutchinson, or they're going to flex Chase Brown, or play Harrison, right? So yeah, Palmer's going to get lost in the shuffle. So definitely like that call. Central Florida, Cincinnati, last but not least. 28.5 Central Florida, 27 Cincinnati. Look, you don't get Central Florida on these slates often. And you get Plumlee, who has nuke type potential for a slate. 87 though, felt like they did a good job pricing him right. He is home. Figure you see a good version of him. I mean, yeah, this dude, you just look at his scores, like the dude has 60-point upside. So yeah, he can shatter a slate. This is going to be a good defense he's playing though. So, there's that, but at any given point, he can just house call a rush for 60, 70 yards, and do it multiple times. McClellan for Cincinnati is a guy I don't like playing in this price range, but they feed him. I wish he was getting a little more volume for this price because you do need him to go over 100 and a tutty at this price, which he could do. But Central Florida's a decent defense as well. On the receiving end, Ryan O'Keefe was a stud for this team for a few weeks and then kind of regressed last week. 30-point upside for sure for him. They target him a ton, but I think there's another receiver that I like on this team. So Hudson 6'1" seems like a safer option. The guy returned from being out earlier in the year, and I think he's led this team in targets back-to-back weeks, something like that. So 6,100, you could look for him if you're looking for something. Trey Tucker was a guy that let me down last week on a game where Tyler Scott was out. Just felt like they didn't even throw him the ball, even though their number one receiver was out, and he's their bona fide number 2. So I'll likely pass on him, even though the price is a little cheaper this week. But yeah, ultimately not a whole lot to love in this game. You could play Isaiah Bowser, but blah. Bruce, what do you like in this game?
I think I like O'Keefe here in GPPs just because he's priced up and he has slight breaking potential. You're right on Hudson. He's got some more targets. He came over from Auburn, reunite with Gus there. So that's a solid play. I think Baker's been banged up for them, so I'm not going to have any of him unless he's fully healthy, but he's still priced up. Cincy is terrible in the secondary, so that's the one spot you can attack them. It's just Plumlee has been terrible through the air this year, so it's a little scary. But another thing to watch out for is if Tyler Scott is back. He has slate breaking potential as well. Didn't play last week, so that's something to watch. The running backs, RJ Harvey at 4K is interesting. Now getting half the snaps with Bowser kind of taking a back seat. So, but yeah, other than that, I don't want too much of this game either.
Okay, Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, I don't think I want too much of this game either. It's just not my favorite. And there's other good games that we've already talked about that I want to play instead. So overall, I think I'm just kind of fading this one.
Okay. Big T, I don't think I got your thoughts on this game, right?
Nah, I like this McClellan dude. I mean, he looks pretty good, 6,200. Running back's tough today, as we keep talking about. There's a bunch of really good running back plays, so you got to make decisions there. I'm terrified of fading our hero Plumlee, but man, I just can't see him even against like Cunningham, who's a little bit cheaper. I think the Cunningham matchup's better. They're very similar. Neither one of them can throw. I get terrified to fade Plumlee because of what happens when he really gets it going. I mean, the dude's had 3 50-point games, but they were against bad teams. I think Cincy's at least a little bit more respectable, where any team that just forces him to throw is going to have success because he just can't do it. He's not capable. So it's just a matter of if he can run. I'm going to fade him today, and just I'm glad it's a late game. So if it goes bad, you don't get hurt as much. If it's early and you fade a guy and he gets 50, it hurts. If it's late, you just move on to the night slate and the baseball game or whatever else you're watching, MMA. So yeah, I'll be fading Plumlee, but it never feels good.
Okay, and that wraps it up, folks. Went through every game, talked on some plays. I'll update my playbook. I'll update my course for the site as well. Tony, I'm sure will have his up if it's not already. Mangone, Bruce, the whole bit. So yeah, be sure to check us out, Run Pure Sports, see what we're all about. Also, folks, if you have not liked this video, let me see what we're at. We are at, what are we at? 127 likes. That's it. Hopefully you can get us a little more likes than that, not to sound like a beggar, but 450 of you watching. The least you can do is like the video. But yeah, head over to Run Pure Sports, see what we're about if you're not already. Any active promo codes, guys, for the folks?
We're on too big of a roll right now. No promos right now for the people.
Too much giblets.
We're on high demand with Dunkel giving all these winners lately.
Too much shipping, too much giblets, and Tony's being facetious.
Yeah, I mean, don't pronounce it giblet. I mean, come on. We had such a good show. It's a strong G. Man, go and help him here. I mean, we can't have that to end the show.
I was down to stroke Anthony and make him uncomfortable, but like he's not derailing it. You just said giblets. I mean, that's just pathetic. That's really pathetic.
It's gonna be a good day when Mangone's calling you pathetic. You just, you just know it's going to be a good.
He told me I had to get on you last time, so I had to get on.
I mean, that's a bad one. That's an egregious error on your part. Anyone who calls it giblets, it's just bad.
No better way to end the show than on this high note. Look, folks, as always, gamble responsibly, stay safe, run pure. Thanks as always for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week. Helmut, get us out of here.